How do you make a dreamy trap beat using no starters, samples or loops, so completely from scratch? This is what I will show you in this video. And the finished beat could sound like this. And for this one, I'm gonna start with the melodic part or the sample. And for this like dreamy beats, I always like to start with some atmosphere sounds. Omnisphere is great for atmospheres, and especially this library right here, Ambient Dreams. And it has very like spatial ambient sounds, as the name suggests. If I don't really have an idea what the melodies or the sounds should sound like, I just like to click on this random button right here and skip through them one by one. Symphony of Harmonia. I'm gonna try some chords with that. And as you could see, I didn't press record on this one. And that's no problem at all in Ableton, because I can just click this capture icon and it gives me everything I played. And now I will put this on the grid, quantize with Ctrl U and press legato, so there is no holes between the notes. I think I like the first three ones, but I don't like the last chord. Alright, so we have these atmospheric chords. I think we're gonna make a little melody next. For this, I am gonna use Analog Lab. This sound right here, it's called Boredom. And I'm just gonna play a very simple melody. It sounds a bit boring, so we are gonna put some effects on that. Valhalla Vintage Verb, apply a filter, so there is no low frequencies in this melody. And then maybe some sort of granular effect. I think we can achieve something like that with Crystallizer. And I'm gonna put it before the delay. This is like just a stock preset that's in there, the default one, but I think it sounds perfect. And what I'm gonna do for this, I am gonna bounce this on a new track with Command B, Control or Command. If I accidentally switch up some of the shortcuts, it's because I have a Windows keyboard, but I'm working on a Mac. So I might change that in the future. But as you can see, I bounced it to a new track because I can now pitch it up. So for me, this is basically a finished starter, but it's not a finished loop, so we can put like 2 or 3 more elements. But sometimes I like to do that while I'm making the beat itself. So I would just put this in the beat, the starter, and look for what's maybe missing with the drums and all, and add another melody to that. So we are just gonna bounce this and start making the beat. So what Ableton does, if I bounce this now, of course it has to be turned on, is it normalizes it. So it puts it up right where the highest peak is, and makes it the loudest it can be without clipping. Alright, so we've got the starter sample, and what I would normally do is I would use a preset that I have where I have all my favorite drums and stuff, but as I said, for this video I'm gonna do it grounds up from 0, so we are not gonna use any presets or templates here, and we are completely making it from scratch. So we will start around 130, and if I think it's too slow, then we will maybe turn it up a bit. And I like to pitch this up a little bit. Okay, let's start with the claps for this one. And I'm looking for like a really thin clap. So you can see the clap pattern that I did here is very basic. Played around a bit at the end. And I'm gonna just put the velocity a bit down for those at the end. We can do some hi-hats. And these ones sound pretty good because they're not that hard like this one, but a little bit softer. You can hear the difference. I think together with the hi-hats, the clap is not quite what I like. So I'm gonna cut a bit of the high frequencies of the clap. Yeah, sounds perfect. So as you can see, this is not your typical trap hi-hat pattern, but I think for this atmospheric beats, it fits quite well. And we can continue with the next element, which is some cymbals or open hats, maybe some crashes, all that kind of sounds to just fill some of the gaps. And for the crash, I will just put one here at the beginning. And then we're gonna put some perk sounds. I'm gonna start with the tom here. I think it fits quite good in here. And to finish off this like dreamy vibe, I will add a snap. So the snap right here hits right before the open hat, and some more percussions. This one. and look for an 808. So there are multiple ways in which we could do it now. We could use a short 808 if we want to leave more of this space for itself, and we could use a longer 808 if we want to fill that space with that 808. But I think a shorter one will fit better here, and I will press legato here, so this one is not that short. If you want to achieve a similar sound to FL Studio in Ableton, you will have to put some sort of soft clipper or saturator on the master. And if you want to use stock plugins, saturator from Ableton is really good. I think soft sine is the preferred one if you want to have it sound like FL Studio. And you can just dial in the drive right here. And you can always see if it clips with this little lamp right there. And I think the sample is a bit too loud. We can definitely add a kick to that. And if you want the drums to be a bit more tight, you could use compression, for example. So we could just put a glue compressor on the drums. In Ableton, there are some presets for drums. For example, this full parallel preset. There's 50% of the signal going through the compressor and 50% of the original signal coming through. So you can crank up the compressor a bit more to get that compressed sound, but you can also preserve the original sound and the original transients. Then maybe a saturator. For drums, I like decapitator. So as you can hear, for the most part, it just makes it consistently a bit louder. And what I also like to use is this Ableton stock plugin right here. Very nice on drum buses, especially this transient knob here. But with this one, you also have to be very careful. You can quickly overdo some stuff with it. For me personally, it sounds better at 140 BPM. But if you really want a very dreamy type of beat, so really dreamy, really slow, chill, I think 130 is also perfect. But for me, I like it a bit faster. Arrangement is something that you can change very easy later on. And I think it's more important to just have a sort of arrangement, to not overcomplicate things and just get the beat out there. So as teased earlier, I am gonna put another instrument in here. I think we can do again this ambient dreams one. This sound right here, it's called Organic Tremolo Shimmer. Sounds pretty fine to me. And what I'm going to do now is I will automate the filter frequency of this first part of the sample here in the intro. So we are going to lose some of that low end right before the beat drops, so it has more impact. We could add even more of these atmospheric samples now. If you would do something like this, feel free to add more atmospheres and stuff. But I think the way I've kept it now is very clean and simple. Last but not least, I will put a zone on the master. Keep in mind that this is a solution that does not work with every beat every time perfectly. But for me, ozone with this one click button right here gets the beat to like 80–85% where I want to have it. And you have to keep in mind that if someone raps on this, then it will be mastered again, hopefully, and it will sound completely different again. So what I'm doing now is just make it loud, make it sound great when listening in the studio, so an artist would pick this beat. And I think this sounds quite acceptable for a complete beat in around an hour, I would say. And you are probably gonna hear some things that I don't hear right now because I've worked an hour on this. For example, some elements might be too loud, some elements might be too quiet, but I wanted to show you what you can achieve in a rather short period of time for a complete beat from the ground up. And look over it on the next day, turn down some elements, make some slight changes. You will hear things that you won't hear now. Right now it sounds really good and I'm very happy with it. And if you want to listen to this beat without the YouTube compression, I've probably linked it down below somewhere. Hopefully. If not, write me a comment and I will send you the link. As this was my first YouTube video in English, I'm looking forward to your feedback down below. Tell me if you would like more English videos or if you like the German ones more. And if you don't want to miss the next video next week, consider subscribing.